All right. So we started talking about tissues. We have 4 different classifications of tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. We started with epithelium. We have 2 different configurations. Essentially, if we think about this epithelial tissue, we're building a wall. The wall might be just a single brick, or the wall might be more than 1 brick tall. If it is a single brick, we say that it is simple. That is a single layer of cells. If it has more than 1 layer of cells, we say that it is stratified. We have 3 different shapes for the bricks that we can build the wall with. Squamous. What does a squamous cell look like? Look at that, squished, fragile, flat. Cuboidal, cube, columnar, column. And these configurations are really going to be dependent on what is the jaw. What are we supposed to be doing? So here we had our simple squamous, 1 layer, squished, fragile cells, not really providing any kind of protective barrier at all. This is going to be found in areas where we have gas exchange. We talked about this one yesterday. Specifically, if you are a loved one, have mesothelioma, you may in fact be entitled to some sort of compensation. Well, you are a person that watches a lot of late night TV.
I do not. My dad does.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Netflix Hulu person, so I don't do commercials.
I don't even have regular TV.
I don't either.
I do Netflix, Hulu.
Yeah.
Prime,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime TV is fabulous. Disney, obviously, for The Mandalorian. HBO Max. So what we do is my significant other has he has HBO, he has Disney Plus, he had the DC universe for a little while. And then I have Amazon Prime and Hulu. And we just...
I get to have one to my brother and his wife.
Although,
Disney.
you know, I live at his house half the time. He lives at my house half the time. So it's not like we're doing anything wrong. Almost 12.
Okay, so that's close.
Yeah, it'll be 12 years in July.
And it's just easier to have 2 places.
And it's easier to have 2 homes. It works for us. And that way when he starts to tick me off, I go to my own house. It's fabulous. I'm telling you, the secret to a long, happy, healthy relationship is you don't live together.
Or you have completely opposite schedules.
You can have more animals.
Oh, and he's an animal person too. He's got his own dog.
You only have so many per house. So if you have 5 at one house and 5 at another, then it's fine.
Hard no. All right, simple cuboidal. This is going to be a single layer of cube-shaped cells. We've now increased the surface area, right? The bigger the cell, the greater the surface area. And so this is going to be where we have absorption taking place. Finally, we had our simple columnar, the largest right now of our simple configurations as far as surface area. So this is going to be in areas that are very, very absorptive, like your small intestines where we're sucking in the nutrients. And then, of course, we had our goblet cell, which create mucus. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. I promise.
Wait,
I won't do it.
So swallowing is not bad. Because I was always told it is bad.
So no, but sometimes. Okay.
See,
that was terrible. What did I just say?
I think
So
it's
let's
not
just
going
gotta
back into your lungs.
Glitch in the lung. All right, so glitch in the matrix. Okay, so I have breathed in something nefarious. It doesn't have to be a virus or an illness. It could be pollen, some sort of irritant. My lungs are going, I don't like this very much. And they produce the mucus as a protection. Then the little guy gets stuck. Tickle, tickle, tickle. We cough it up. We swallow it. That's our natural reaction. I know it's disgusting. And I know it's gross to talk about. But guys, we all do it. Every single one of us. You swallow it because the stomach acid is strong enough to kill most things. Where it gets bad is when you are swallowing large amounts. The mucus is now sitting in your stomach. Your stomach is detecting it as if it is food. And it's producing more and more acid. The problem is that there's no food. The overproduction of acid can actually cause an inflammation of the stomach. Gastritis. And that might be why, so then the stomach's looking around like, oh my God, we're swimming in snot right now. This is disgusting. We're not getting anything out of this. And I'm not, your stomach is very highly intelligent. Highly intelligent. And he's like, I'm not really sure what any of this is. And I'm not sure if I want to pass it to the small intestines, because when stuff goes to your small intestines, now it has open access to your blood circulation. And there's only one way out. It has to pass through your entire intestinal tract before you can get rid of it. So your stomach needs to be super duper careful what it passes on. We don't want stuff to have access to your blood. And that's why if you are just swallowing a little bit, your stomach's like, meh, okay, no worries, we'll just break it down. If you have that postnasal drip where you are swallowing like esophagus full of just snot, you know what I'm talking about. And now you're getting nauseous. That's your stomach going, okay, now there's way too much, and I don't want to pass this on.
I wish my doctors had explained this to me.
Is it bad for you? No, it's a normal process. Copious amounts can cause gastritis and nausea. So that's why I was saying no, but maybe.
I have cystic fibrosis, so like all of the coughing up, they were like, yeah, don't do it. Granted, I did.
Right.
Who listens? But I never had that issue, but I guess I can see them explaining that for that reason.
Yeah, and sometimes if you have something like that, they may even put you on some sort of gastric.
Yeah.
Like
naproxen
or sucralfate, something like that, to protect the stomach because it's now overproducing the acid.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Bam! Anatomy science coming at you.
I like it.
I love it when I can put some of these abstract concepts into clinical application. All right, stratified squamous, multiple layers of flat cells. These are the layers that are continuously being shorn away. Right here, I give a little bit of huff to everybody. A little bit of huff. Oh, come on, you know this is.
You want it.
You want it. Okay, obviously not. I'm lubricated. I just put lotion on myself. I'm not actually flicking stuff at you. These are constantly being shorn away, and so these cells are being produced at the bottom basement membrane, and then just pushing up. So there's always a brand new layer underneath to replace the one that's being shorn away. We have our stratified cuboidal. This is the configuration that a lot of our glands are made of. That's all. That's all I got to say about that. And then finally, we have our stratified columnar. This configuration is very rare. We really only see it in some areas of bovine. Cats and dogs, we really don't. Now we've got this guy, pseudo-stratified. Tell me what the term pseudo means. False or fake. Pseudo-stratified is a single layer of cells, but his nuclei are located at different heights. So it gives him the look of being stratified when he is not. He is a simple configuration, a single layer that looks like multiple layers. What?
She dropped her pen.
Oh,
Because it seemed like she threw it on the floor.
don't throw stuff.
Just kind of like around with it.
That's okay. Now these pseudostratified are generally ciliated. Show me ciliated. These are the crowd surfers. They are going to crowd surf the mucus because they're found in high quantities in your respiratory system. So they're crowd surfing that lung butter. Lung butter. They're crowd surfing, and then they're the ones that are going tickle, 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 and that causes you to and then swallow it. So that's our pseudo stratified. Is this where we left off on yesterday? I honestly have no idea. Oh, fabulous, great. Transitional to transition means change. So these are cells that change shape dramatically. We see them in the bladder where they have to stretch and thin out and provide a leak-proof barrier. We have our glands, endocrine, deposit their hormones where? Into the blood. Endocrine glands deposit hormones directly into the blood. This is an example of some of our endocrine glands: pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal, kidneys, ovaries, pancreas, testicles. I think I listed them all right there. Oh, I did. Go me. Exocrine glands put their secretions out anywhere other than the blood. Doesn't have to be to the outside environment. It's just if it's depositing it somewhere other than the bloodstream, it's considered exocrine. So our pancreas is both. Look at that. Mr. Pancreas has both endocrine and exocrine functions. Endocrine, he deposits insulin into the blood to regulate your blood glucose. Exocrine, he creates 2 digestive enzymes that he deposits to your small intestines. So he does double duty. Now, endocrine glands do not contain a duct, and a duct is an opening. Think of the ductwork in the building. Exocrine glands have an opening, and that's how they transport their secretions, with one exception. Our friendly neighborhood goblet cell. Goblet cell has got to break the rules. Of course he does. There's got to be one every time. The goblet cell is an exocrine gland, meaning it does not deposit its stuff into the blood, but it also does not have a duct. So that would be a great test question. That would be a great test question. So our goblet cell is a ductless, unicellular, that makes mucus. All right, so here we have our 3 glandular classifications. These 3 classifications are really based on how is the gland getting the stuff out of it. We have our murocrine, and the murocrine gland creates its secretion and then just has this little muscle contraction and just splooshes it out. An apocrine, tell me the medical term, what does apo mean? Derived from. Derived from, so apocrine, the top half of the cell that's containing the secretion is released, and that's what transports the creation. And then holocrine, the whole cell is released and transports the secretion. Did we talk about this yesterday?
Yes.
We about the meerkat?
Yes.
We did all of that. Excellent. I drew the picture.
Yes.
Excellent. I don't know why I have literally no recollection of teaching you anything yesterday.
Douglas is on vacation.
I don't even know, because guys, I'm doing finals right now too.
So on vacation.
So I have 2 major final projects due. One's due Sunday, one's due Monday. So I don't even know if I'm coming or going at this point. I have no idea. And they're group projects. And I freaking hate group projects. Do what?
Like, who does like a group like midterm?
Yeah, it was group project for the midterm and the final. And my one group is fabulous. I love them so much. But my other group, there's this huge D-bag who just male.
Of course. Of course.
And we gave him literally the least amount of work that would be humanly possible to complete and still say that he contributed to the project. And he didn't do it.
So did you say he didn't contribute?
Oh yeah, well we've still got to do a video. It's a PowerPoint over benign and malignant neoplasias, which is tumors.
What do you want to say?
My bachelor's degree in veterinary technology. This is for my dermatology class. We gave him 1 tumor. He needed to do 3 PowerPoint slides. That was it. My other team member and I did the other 5 tumors introduction. It's an 18-slide PowerPoint and notated video. I didn't do it. We did it for him. Oh, I already did.
No.
I already had his slides prepared because I knew he wasn't going to do it. So.
Did you pick your group or did they?
No, they picked the stupid groups.
Are you still gonna put his name on it?
We have to put his name on it, but we have an assessment. And so we'll do the same thing for this as we did for the midterm and just explain that he had absolutely no contribution. The midterm, he did contribute 3 slides, but he did the wrong disease.
Do you know how much they actually like it's your grades, the assessments of each other?
Majority.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so we have 2 different types of secretions: serous, which is watery saliva; mucus, which is thick. We say it is viscous. Viscosity means the thickness of a fluid. That would be like snot. So those are just, we've now talked about the glands. Where do they deposit their stuff into the blood, outside of the blood? How do they release their secretions? What are they secreting? Is everybody okay with that? Excellent. All right, so now we get started on the next type of tissue, connective tissue. Connective tissue is the most abundant tissue by weight. When we think of connective tissue, oftentimes we're just considering like tendons and ligaments. But no, there's more. But wait, there's more. Stuff like adipose tissue. What is your adipose? Sadly, fat. COVID-19 gave me 20, just saying. No, not funny.
You said it.
It's too real.
It's too real. Yeah, I said what? I've said it too much. It's not funny anymore. All right, I'll stop saying it. Well, adipose tissue, but adipose tissue does have a function. It is there to help protect underlying structures, and it is there to provide you with energy. I typically only eat 1 meal a day, but I still have to have the energy to get up here and to live and to breathe and to beat my heart and to move and all of the things. And so my body is breaking down stored energy, adipose, in order to accomplish that. The connective tissue is also going to provide a framework, and it is vascularized. Now, what do I mean by vascularized? Yeah, it has blood supply. It has direct supply to the blood. That's it. And again, remember, we're lecturing from the testable material. So although I may be lecturing over more information, the stuff that you are responsible for is highlighted in red, just to stop you from having to write more notes than what you need. Some of our systems, like, hang on, I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, some of our systems are tissues that you sometimes wouldn't even consider to be tissues, like your bones. Your bone is a living, nutrient-ridden, oxygenated tissue, no different than your skin. And in fact, your bones have really, really high vascularization. If you've ever broken a bone, anyone in here broken a bone? I got a few of yous.
Yes.
What happened to the area around the break?
Bruises.
It bruises like holy smokes. Like nobody's business. Yeah. I broke my ankle. You did what?
I broke my wrist on the thigh.
You broke your wrist?
I don't remember.
Broke my arm too.
You broke your arm at 2? I broke my ankle, my medial malleolus, when I was in my probably late 20s, early 30s. I had a big tile sample, and it was heavy, and I was pulling it up like this to lift it up, and I dropped it. And it came down right on my middle ankle. And I did a shearing fracture. And I had a bruise from my toes to my knee. And that's because when you break a bone, no different than when you cut your skin, it's going to bleed. Well, the skeletal tissue, the bones, is in fact a connective tissue. It is under this connective tissue classification.
Is that the same, like how whenever you get a nose job, your eyes are bruised?
Yep.
Swollen?
Oh my God, I fractured my skull when I was 17. Yeah, I fractured my skull from here down to my temple. And I was bruised like, oh my goodness, all the way down to the top of my lips. And my eyes were so bruised that I couldn't see.
Would a fracture be less of a bruise than a break?
Well, a fracture and a break are the same thing.
It's just when I broke my fifth metatarsal about a year ago, and it bruised a little bit, but not very much.
So it also depends on the size of the bone and the degree of the break. So, like you break your pinky toe, you're getting a bruise up your foot, but it's not going to crawl up your leg. So yeah, it'll depend on the extent of the break and the size of the bone.
Yeah, I had a small fracture in my cheekbone, and it didn't really bruise that much.
Yeah, so tiny fracture, I broke my toe. Yeah, it bruised a little bit. This, oh my God. And my ankle, I've never seen anything like it. I was doing backflips in a pool. So I was 17, I was at my auntie's house. And you know, you stand in the shallow end and you just flip backwards and do like dolphin flip. That's what we call them, dolphin flips. Where you're just like, phew, and then you just, well, I was seeing how many I could do in a row. Not realizing that every time I flipped, I was getting closer and closer to the edge of the pool. And I went back and flipped and hit the side of the pool. And she had a tile lip around her pool, and it was just fortuitous. The one I hit was cracked and broken. So I had a little sharp edge on it, and it caught me right on the crown, and it cracked my skull all the way down. And this whole flap came down. It was like open. So that.
That's really hard for a 17.
Yeah, that was pretty traumatic. I have no recall of it whatsoever. Huh?
Did you hit stitches?
Yes. I had over 40 stitches.
How does that, like, because I don't think, It's like,
It heals. It healed.
well, like, no, I'm talking like a cast wise. It's like, did you just?
You just don't bang your head.
Oh
against
yeah,
something.
you're super careful. So luckily for me, it was a fracture, but it did not displace. If it had displaced, I would have needed surgery to put stability, like little not pins, yeah, like brackets, a plate, put plates. But because it was not displaced, I had to be very careful and not knock it, and it healed on its own.
I had to put an e-collar around your neck.
Keep me from messing with it. Oh, that was terrible.
My dad doesn't have an ankle.
Oh, he doesn't have an ankle.
They manufactured him an ankle. So he got hit by, he was on his motorcycle and got hit by a car at the ferry, and they took him to the hospital. Well, they didn't know what to do with him, so they got gangrene.
Oh Lord.
And they ended up taking like 6 inches of bone from his ankle and his leg. And they're like, well, we're gonna cut it off. He's like, no, you're gonna save it. So they brought him down to Herman, and they put a lizard off on him. And my mom would have to constantly break it, and they fused it together.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So he's got like this big freaking leg. He's 2 inches shorter on his left side than his right side.
That's crazy.
He's in the medical book.
Really?
Yeah. Because the lizard off back in the 90s wasn't used for much stretching. So they put him in the medical books.
That's amazing. It's claim to fame.
I take it.
Yeah. All right, so connective tissue. Let's talk about the different kinds of fibers that make up our connective tissue. We have these extracellular, so outside of the cell fibers. We have collagenous, reticular, and elastic. Don't panic, we're going to talk about each of these separately. We have a ground substance, which is the foundation of all of the connective tissue. And then we have it made of cells. Your blood is also considered to be a connective tissue. It is a liquid tissue, and it's what contains your wandering cells or your transient cells. These are cells that move all around your body, going to places that they need to go. But you do also have fixed cells that are incorporated into this connective tissue, and they don't go anywhere. They're born, they live, and they die in the exact same small town. Like your adipocytes. Adipocytes sadly don't go anywhere. They just stay where they are. So we're going to discuss just in general each of these tissue components. The membrane that they grow from, the extracellular fibers, and the cells that make them up. So first we have our ground substance. This is again just a foundation, kind of like a basement. This is also the medium where all of our nutrient and gas exchange happens. It's going to act as a shock absorber, and it's going to form a barrier against foreign invaders. So that's our ground substance. I'm not going to test you over that it's made of glycoproteins like glycoamino, I'm not testing you over that. I just want you to know the basics, that it is exchange of nutrients, acts as a shock absorber, serves as an obstacle, a barrier for foreign invaders. Yeah, you guys are going to come to learn pretty quickly that if there's something weird or bizarre that could possibly happen to a human being, it's probably happened to me. I don't know why.
I had stitches on my nose. I ripped my nostril open when I was like
Ew.
4 or 5
That's
on a
awful.
swing.
That's awful.
Years ago, they had like the swings growing up had like the metal part that kept the swing on, and I fell backwards and sliced it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My brother pushed me into the side of the pool. Like,
Oh no.
my grandpa Was that a was problem?
I
It
felt
looked like an
bad.
ice cream cone.
Really?
Yeah, and I walked all the way inside. And I was like, Mom, something's wrong with my foot. My toe was on the side of my.
Oh my God.
She's like, we're going to the hospital.
I'm on the CDC list of not one, but 2 different countries.
Ooh. Why?
Because when I was a child, I got scarlet fever.
Oh,
And then when I was an adult, I got West Nile virus.
Let's not get them.
Yeah, so.
ooh, I found out yesterday that
I get strep throat at least once a year. That's about it.
lesser chance of getting corona than the average person who doesn't have CF.
Really?
For the longest time, you would think, respiratory disease, you're going to have more susceptibility to it. But apparently, because of the, why am I forgetting the word? But the fact that there's the problem with chromosome 7, which produces the CF, it doesn't allow the coronavirus to attach where it's supposed to.
Really?
Exactly. Like, yes, you still have a chance of getting it, but not as much as somebody else.
Wow.
It was like, wow.
TIL.
Yeah.
All right, so some of the fibers that make up our connective tissue. The first one is the collagenous. Now, what does that word sound like to you? Collagen. That's exactly what it is. Collagen is a very strong, very thick. It is what is adhering your skin to the underlying tissue. You've all heard about people that get collagen injections. What's happening with your skin is gravity works. And gravity is pulling on the skin all of the time. Now imagine you have a rubber band and you're constantly stretching it over the course of many years. What eventually happens to the elasticity of that rubber band? It decreases. Suddenly you have this rubber band that does not snap back to its normal shape. That's what's happening to the tissue underneath your skin. And that's why as you get older, your skin starts to get a little bit looser. It's because that underlying elastic tissue is not as firm. We also see this tissue that makes up our tendons and our ligaments. What do tendons join together?
Oh.
Bone to muscle or muscle to bone, and then ligaments, bone to bone. So think about that one elastic band. I have one elastic band and it's very easy for me to stretch. Now if I reach down here and I grab 100 elastic bands, now what? It's much, much harder. That's what we're talking about here with our ligaments and our tendons. It's the same fiber that creates the tension elasticity in our skin, but we have a lot more of them moving in the same direction so that it is similar to trying to pull on 100 elastic bands. Very, very strong and thick, which is good because, I don't want to be like, and have my arm fly across the room. We want the bones and the muscles to stay adhered. Those are our collagenous fibers, our areas that are going to be stretched over and over and over again.
I read an article about bodybuilders coming back. It's here till like May.
Yeah. Body Worlds.
I read it and it had the German doctor that you said you liked.
Gunther von Hagen.
I was not even gonna send.
Yeah, Gunther von Hagen. He's a personal hero of mine. Yeah, if you have an opportunity to go see that, absolutely. I'm probably going to have to go by myself because my significant other is not into that at all. I know, and he said no.
That's right now. There was one with diseases not too long ago. That was cool.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe my sister will go with me. All right, 2 other fibers. So we've had collagenous and we now have reticular. Okay, so we have a lot of organs and glands that are kind of suspended in us. Think of like your kidneys. Kidneys are located way up here and they're just suspended. You have glands that are just suspended. What reticular fibers are these delicate little fiber branches that weave together like a hammock and help to support those suspended organs and glands. Finally, we have our elastic, which is exactly what it sounds like. They are very elastic, very stretchy, like your vocal cords. Your vocal cords vibrate against each other. You all know, I'm going to blow your minds for a second. Do you all know that sound is an illusion? There's no such thing as sound. Did I already tell you that?
Yeah, it's all vibration.
Is that the question where everybody asks if a tree falls in the forest, do you hear it?
Yeah, and no, the answer is no. Because unless there are the bones in your ear to pick up the cochlea to transport those into, or transfer those into an electrical impulse in your brain to interpret it, it doesn't make a sound, it makes a vibration.
My cat can chirp but not meow. Is that because her vocal cords don't vibrate enough? Or she's barking too, but
No idea.
I'm just curious. 'Cause she
No
literally
idea.
does, and that's it. And it's very quiet.
Yeah, no idea. Could be. Don't know. There is a condition for my equine people. Do I have any equine people in here? I got one. It's roaring.
Yeah.
It's a paralaryngeal paralysis, where one of the vocal cords becomes paralyzed and floppy, and then the other one has nothing to vibrate against. And when they're breathing heavy, the floppy one is just like this, and it causes them to, almost like a pug. And it's a condition called roaring. See, I know enough about horses to be dangerous. I know enough about horses to make it seem like I know a lot about horses. All right, so now we have some cells to talk about. First, we have our fixed cells. These don't move. They remain stationary. These are going to be cells that are like secreting fibers. Fibroblast. Anytime we use the suffix blast, that is a cell that is actively creating stuff. It is active. Cell, site, means it is less active. Clast means to break down. So here I have these cells. Let me give an example. Where do you think an osteoblast is located? It's in the bone. All right, so we all know that we're shedding our skin constantly, right? We've got cells. If I never shed my skin, if I never lost a skin cell, what would my skin look like? Yeah, it would be like 3 feet thick. It would be disgusting. Well, my bones don't have that same option because they are not open to the outside environment. But I still need to break down and reuse old bone. So this, my osteoclast, goes around and breaks down old bone. My osteocyte transforms into an osteoblast, and it starts laying down new bone. When the body says, okay, osteoblast, that's enough bone for now, but thank you, he converts back into an osteocyte. But do I really want any of those osteoblast, osteocyte, osteoclast? Do I really want them going somewhere else? No, of course not. The only thing they're good at is bone stuff. Same thing here with my chondroblast. Someone tell me where that one's located. Yeah, your cartilage. This is what forms and breaks down your cartilage. So that's what we mean by a fixed cell. It spends its whole life doing a job in one location. Is everybody okay so far? Is everybody on the bus? Fabulous. Another type of fixed cell is our adipocytes. Sadly, they don't move anywhere. They don't go anywhere. Adipocytes are what make up your fat. Right? Adipose, adipocyte. These are found throughout your connective tissue, and they are these so your fat tissue, your adipose, has these big kind of openings. Yeah. Under a microscope, fat almost looks like a sea sponge. It has these giant openings. So that's our fat, adipocytes. And they don't go anywhere. And then finally we have our reticular cells. Remember, reticular is the little weaving of the hammock to support the organs and glands. Reticular cells are what are making those connections. Manufacturing those reticular fibers.
So we don't even know anything about reticular cells.
Nope.
That sounds bad.
What? Give you guys a minute. There's a few people still furiously writing. That's okay. Did you guys get to play with puppies today?
And
Yes.
And kitties?
Yeah.
Yes.
What? What did you do with the cats?
Got to
we
watch
gave
them
them
microchip
microchips
and heartworm testing.
Microchips, and we got them the idea.
You got to give them vaccines?
No,
we didn't watch them.
Oh, I was like, OMG, what? What? No.
We watched.
Good.
And we learned how to restrain. We watched Miss Martinez show us how to restrain them.
Okay.
Next week we'll actually. We got to live all of them after and where they got to go.
Yay! And you got to restrain some dogs today?
Mhm.
Puppy.
Some oh Lord.
Yeah, Thor. Yeah.
Now you see why I don't like having puppies here. Because everything about them is a challenge. Yes. You got some skills signed off on today?
Mhm.
Very good. That makes me happy. All right, so let's talk about some wandering cells. These are cells that move all around your body based on your body's needs. Excuse me. We have leukocyte, leuco meaning white. These are your white blood cells. This is the military of your body, and this is where things start to get interesting. We have 5 groups that are a part of our military, just like the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, and the Coast Guard are all the 5 aspects of our American military. Same thing here. We got 5 divisions of your body's military. So I'm just going to introduce you to them. You do not have to furiously write this down. It's just so you've heard these words before. First up, we got this guy. This guy is known as segmented neutrophil. He's the infantry. He has the most numbers in your body. And when a foreign invader comes in to you, he's the first one on the scene. He assembles himself with everyone else, locks arm, forms a wall barrier, and prevents the foreign invader from getting in any further. This guy is known as a lymphocyte, not to be confused with leuko. Lympho refers to where he is created, which is in your lymph system. Now, this is the general of your military. He's the one that's in communication with your immunity groups. He's the one that's reporting back, yes, we're doing great. No, we need reinforcements. Oh my God, we're getting slaughtered. He's the one that's going to gauge the immune response. This guy is just like Brent Banner and the Hulk. Got a little bit of multiple personality disorder going on. When he's in your circulation, his name is monocyte. He's just mild-mannered. He's just like top of the moon. And I don't know why he's English. When he leaves circulation and your body looks at him and says, Hulk smash, he transforms into something called a macrophage. Macro meaning large, phage. His name is literally Big Eater. But the thing is about the Hulk is when they say Hulk smash, is he only going around to the enemy and smashing them? Is he like gently tiptoeing around the cars and stuff? No, of course not. What's he doing? He's smashing what? Everything. He's eating what? Everything. Foreign invaders, dead cells, dying cells, friendly fire. He'll just go start attacking. He just doesn't matter. If it's in his way, he's going to eat it. So he's kind of a dangerous guy. These two are what are making me miserable right now. This is basophil and eosinophil. And these two are part of your immune system that deals with allergens. So when your body says pine pollen is like Ebola, basically what happens is, this is actually kind of funny. I'll give you a little scenario just to give you an interest in immunology. So we got these two guys and this guy, mast cell. So we know a little bit about our immune system to where we know that I have a guy with a wanted poster, and on this wanted poster I have pine pollen. When pine pollen goes into my nose, he goes, oh my God, I think that's him, and he calls mast cell. Mast cell contains something called heparin, and histamine. It's the histamine that we're most commonly dealing with. So he looks over here. I'm going to make this pedestal my allergen, my pollen. So he's been alerted. He's got his little histamine. It's like a beacon. And he goes over and he sets the beacon and he turns on the light. The more dangerous my body perceives this pedestal, the more beacons I have. The brighter the beacons, that's what's calling these military over to take care of it. Because their job is to deactivate the histamines. So let's say I've got a beacon like shining, you can see it from space. And suddenly my entire branch of these military are all flooding to the same spot at the same time. That's what actually gives you your allergy symptoms. The pollen is in my nose. The beacons are set in my sinuses. All of my eosinophils and basophils are now migrating out of the blood and into the tissues to deal with the foreign invader. The problem is that so many of them are leaving at once because the beacon is so bright. It's causing the little openings in my blood vessels to open wider than they should. And that allows fluid to leak, not blood, fluid to leak out of my blood and into the tissues. Which is why when you have allergies, your symptoms are pressure, headache, snot rolling down the back of your throat. It's all because of your body's response. So what do I take? Antihistamine. And so here's what happens. You take, so my mast cells have come over and gone, oh my God, beacon, beacon, beacon. You take an antihistamine, so now I'm going to be Benadryl. And I'm Benadryl and I'm like, and I just turn off all the beacons. And then when these guys show up, they're like, hey, I was told that there was a beacon party around here somewhere. Guess not. Guess we'll go. And then they turn off the message. And you don't get any of the symptoms because the symptoms are created from trying to fix it. And that's how your army works. That's how your military works. I get a little excited. I'm sorry. I do. Cell and immunology, I get excited. So these wandering cells, macrophage. Now, yes, one of them is your white blood cell monocyte. You have other cells in your body that are also classified as a macrophage. And they just wander around and eat crap. They're like the buzzards of the body. They just clean up dead debris, take out foreign invaders, that sort of thing. And they can be given different names just based on their location. They're all macrophage. But you got like glial cells, histiocytes, Kupffer cells. I'm not going to ask you where each of these are. Just know that our macrophage is a big eater, and it can be further subcategorized based on its location. This happens to be a white blood cell. This is a blood slide. This is something you're going to learn how to create, stain, and read in laboratory procedures. These are red blood cells. Tell me the medical term for those. Red blood cells. Erythrocytes. Erythrocytes. What do you think these little dark purple spots are? They are not abnormal. They're supposed to be there. They make a clot. They're known as your platelets. Does anyone happen to remember the medical term for them?
Thrombocyte.
Thrombocytes. Look at you, Zoomer. Thrombocytes. So next term, when you get into Lab Pro, you're going to learn how to make a perfect blood smear. And you're going to learn how to stain it. And then you're going to learn how to look at it and interpret it. Pretty darned exciting. So here we have some different types of connective tissue. Loose and dense. These are just two other categories. Sound exactly as they sound. Loose. These are the examples of our loose. Dense. These are the examples of our dense. We've already talked about several of these. We're now just further categorizing them, putting them into neat little boxes. Do I have any comments, questions, concerns so far? Excellent. Are you guys still awake? No, I love your honesty. I love your honesty. Oh dear. Oh dear. Any big plans for the weekend? Oh, that sounds like fun. You're going back home to where?
Austin.
Ooh, nice. I love Austin. Amen right there. I'm at my house this weekend, so that's the one thing I hate is I have to at least make it presentable, tidy. Although, baseball.
Yeah, that much $40 a playroom.
Wow, like school baseball?
My son.
Oh, gotcha.
9,
Okay.
9 under.
Okay. We got a Texans game coming up on Sunday that I'm super not looking forward to. I don't even know. I don't even care. Because Will Fuller is out for the rest of the season. And he's the only receiver that we had that was doing anything in our offense.
We'll just put JJ.
I would love that, but he's not a receiver. Was it Fuller and Cody? I think it was. It's two of them. Two. He didn't get injured. He got caught doing steroids and got suspended for 6 games. No.
Oh, that's on him then.
And if we didn't get rid of Hopkins.
Oh, don't even, oh, now I'm triggered.
That's all right. O'Brien's gone.
Gosh darn it, yeah, but he's screwed. Oh, I almost said a super naughty word. Oh, he messed up our team
Oh, yeah.
for the next 2 to 3 years. Unless we trade JJ. That's our only salvation
As
possibility.
sad as I would hate to lose him, I feel like he deserves
He
it.
needs to go to Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. He needs to go Pittsburgh or Green Bay. Anyway, now I'm triggered.
What did she say? That triggered you.
That we got rid of Hopkins. See, you guys don't know football don't know how angering, fury, rage, red, blind rage I feel when I hear his name.
So you don't like watching Stranger Things?
I need to punch something that looks like Bill O'Brien.
He should have been mad for ages.
Should have been fired too. See, he should have been fired when he brought Osweiler in.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, anyway. Sorry, this is what happens when Doug gets triggered. So, areolar tissue. This is a big one. This would be a great test question. Hey, let's start writing some test questions together. That would be a great multiple choice test question. Which of the following is the most common type of connective tissue?
Whatever that was.
Areolar. Areolar tissue. It supports and cushions. It has these big open spaces. Think of it like when you order an Amazon package and it has the bubble wrap inside. That's especially the ones that have the big air pockets. That's your body's equivalent. That's areolar tissue. It's the big giant bubble wrap, big open spaces that cushions and protects underlying structures. So this is the FedEx Amazon delivery. That is the inside support. Time flies when we are having fun, you kiddos. We're going to pick it up here and continue on with the rest of our connective tissues. Then we'll be moving into our muscles and nervous. So we'll be finishing up this next week sometime. We'll plan our test around that.